Shalom. I like to say all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Makal Kodesh. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of GMS for the true leaders of Israel today, and salutations to my Akim who do this work in truth and sincerity, who risk in their lives and their freedoms to do so, as well as the scattered Israelites who come looking like the heathen but are not, by way of their forefathers' seeds who are Israelite men. The true name of the Most High is Yahweh, and his son's name is Yahushai, and the Lord's holy chosen people are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, as we're the ones who suffer under the curses in the book of Deuteronomy. This is your brother Akale from the GMS Jamaica Kingston camp, and this video is about the war in heaven that is spoken about in Revelation chapter 12 and verse 7. And it says, "And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon." So Michael is one of the archangels that will be coming with Yahushai, and the war in heaven is referring to when it is that Yahushai returns. Yahushai will be returning with the angels, which will be traveling in the so-called UFOs, which are actually the chariots of the Most High, and they will be fighting against the rulers of this wicked kingdom today, who are the Edomites. Okay, and it won't only be the Edomites that will take part in this, the other heathen will take part in it as well. And it says, Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, which is talking about the so-called white man Esau Edom, and the dragon fought and his angels. So the dragon's angels is referring to their flying technology, their flying aircrafts, etc., that they are going to foolishly be using to fight against Yahushai. Okay, and prevail not. So they're going to lose. Neither was their place found anymore in heaven. So when it says neither was their place found anymore in heaven, it's talking about they will no longer be in rulership. Okay, because right now the Edomites are in heaven because they're in rulership. All right, they're living in their blessing right now that was given unto them from their father Isaac. This is the blessing that Esau was given, the fatness of the earth and the dew of heaven, and by the sword shall he rule, to paraphrase. So they're in rulership, man. In Job chapter 9 verse 24, it says the earth is given into the hands of the wicked, and the wicked are ruling, who are the Edomites. All right, you know that the wicked are ruling simply because they're not establishing the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Shemishah. They're doing the complete opposite. And it is obvious that the so-called white man is the one in control of the resources around the world. That they dominate the language, they dominate the money, they dominate everything, man. Okay? And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent, which is talking about Esau Edom, so-called white man, called the devil, the deceiver, and Satan, the adversary, which deceiveth the whole world. This is what they've done. They've deceived the entire world into letting the world believe that they're the Lord's holy chosen people, into letting the world believe that they are friendly, righteous, amicable people, when really every nation at this point in time, except for the foolish of our nation, of the Israelites, because you know how down Jake is, but everyone can see how they've deceived the world and how they have dealt with the world unrighteously, and they've robbed, raped, pillaged, lied, all these kinds of things, man, murdered people to raise to the status that they're at. Okay, and you know, the nations have felt this. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. So his flying crafts are going to lose. Okay. And I heard a loud voice saying, "In heaven now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our power and the power of his Hamashiach Yahushai, for the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which is Esau Edom, which accused them before our power day and night." Okay, so Esau Edom is going to lose. All right. So the biblical prophecy lets us know that this will happen. And so we look at current events, all right, to see how Yahweh Shemishah is building towards these prophecies. And when President Trump was in power, but when Trump was the president, he said that he would release some files and documents, Salakio, in regards to the UFOs. And so after that, we've just been seeing more and more information coming out about the so-called UFOs and their sightings and everything like that. Also, Yahweh Shemeshai forced the hands of the Edomites, which they control the Edomites, you know what I'm saying? But they control them to force their hand because the chariots of the Most High have been manifesting themselves at a much higher rate, at a greater frequency than ever before, at least in this lifetime and this captivity, you know, the American captivity, because America is an empire which is ruled by the Edomites, the so-called white people. So it says Pentagon creates a new UFO task force. The U.S. Department of Defense has ordered the establishment of a specialized group for detecting unidentified airborne objects, which are the chariots of the Most High is referring to, which will become a successor to the U.S. Navy's Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force. Rather than letting the recent revelations about UFOs spell hope and intrigue, the U.S. media is spreading. Okay. According to Pentagon's announcement, the new task force has been named the Airborne Object Identification and Management Synchronization Group and will coordinate the U.S. government's efforts to detect, identify, and attribute objects of interest in special use airspace, and to assess and mitigate any associated threats to safety of flight and national security. The task force will be composed of intelligence community members, DoD experts, and specialists from other governmental agencies. The decision to reorganize the unit dealing with unidentified aerial phenomena is in line with recommendations provided in a report by the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. So what this is saying is that they have actively acknowledged that the UFOs do exist and that they're saying that they really need to observe and keep tabs on it, which they've been doing ever since the very beginning, because the wicked elite of Esau Edom, the banking elite, they know they're Edomites. They know that the chariots of the Most High are the so-called UFOs. They know that we're the Lord's holy chosen people. They know that they're going into slavery. All of these things. They know that what we say and what we preach, how we break down the scriptures, is the truth. They know all of this. Okay? So they've been preparing for this for a long time, but now, you know, Esau Edom is just putting it out there because the time is short. All right? Their kingdom is coming to an end. All right? So they're going to put information like this out there to let people know, okay, so we've identified that, yes, there are UFOs out there. And of course, you know, their narrative, all right, that they've pushed that the aliens are out there and the aliens are green men with big heads and whatever else, man. All kinds of misinformation, all kinds of deception, all kinds of information that's like just completely all over the place, man, to confuse the people. All right, so the people don't know what to believe. But we know that the UFOs are the chariots of the Most High at the end of the day. Okay. In the coming weeks, the department will come up with guidance of AOIMSG, which will contain details on management, organizational structure, and resourcing of the new unit. The Pentagon underlined that it takes reports of incursions by any airborne objects, identified or unidentified, very seriously and conducts an investigation of each case. So the Pentagon is a part of this as well. So you know it's quite serious. Okay. I guess I can finish the article. UAP represent a potential risk to aircraft and to national security in a broader sense, according to the memorandum on the establishment of the AOIMSG. The report prepared by the ODNI and submitted to Congress in June lists 5 potential explanatory categories of UAP: airborne clutter, natural atmospheric phenomena, U.S. government or U.S. industry developmental programs, foreign adversary systems, and catch-all other bin. Okay, so they are openly letting you people know what it is. Okay, and they're keeping tabs on it, and they're going to go out there and fight. They're going to fight, you know. First of all, the mark of the beast is going to become mandatory worldwide. Revelation chapter 13, verse 16, 17, 18. Revelation chapter 13, verse 15, as well, is going to come to pass. Revelation chapter 3, verse 10 is going to come to pass. And then World War III is going to pop off. Then America is going to be destroyed with thermonuclear fire. Before the thermonuclear fire hits America, Yahushua is going to deliver the elect of Israel from the destruction, and only the elect of Israel will be delivered from the thermonuclear fire destruction upon America, which is Mystery Babylon the Great, identified in Revelation chapter 17. And then Esau Edom is going to foolishly go out there and try to fight against Yahushai and the chariots, which is going to be a failure. This is Revelation chapter 19 and verse 11. And I saw heaven opened, and behold a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war, which is Yahushai. His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns, and he had a name written that no man knew but he himself. Salakio. And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of Yahweh Bashim Yeshai. And he's going to be dipped in blood because in Isaiah chapter 63 it says that he shall, who is this that cometh from Basra with dyed garments? Who is this that cometh from Edom with dyed garments from Basra? You know, to paraphrase, you can read it. The judgment that will be upon the Edomites when Yahushua returns were part of the judgment. And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, which are the chariots of the Most High, clothed in fine linen, white and clean, and out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron, and he treadeth the winepress of the fierceness and wrath of Almighty Yahweh, and he hath on his vesture and on his thigh a name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Okay, so this is Yahushua is referring to. And I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the fowls that fly in the midst of heaven, Come and gather yourselves together unto the supper of the great power, that ye may eat the flesh of kings, and the flesh of captains, and the flesh of mighty men, and the flesh of horses, and them that sit on them, and the flesh of all men, both free and bond, both small and great. Okay, and I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. So the kings of the earth, starting with Esau, Edom, and then the rest of the heathen man, they're going to gather their armies, their flying technology, their aircrafts, and they're going to try and fight against Yahushua and the angels, which is, I mean, it's stupid, but, you know, it's stupid that they would try to do that, especially when you see the spiritual power that will be coming from it, man. Okay, I'll go into Revelation chapter 20. And the beast was taken, which is Esau, Edom, and his system. Okay, overall, you know, the beast overall represents NATO. And then you have the 10 horns, which is the EU. And then you have the whore, which is riding the beast. And all three parts work together to push forward their system, their democracy, their philosophies, everything, man, their wickedness. All right, was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, which is talking about the Roman Catholic Church, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, and them, which is a mark chip, and them that worshipped his image. These both were cast alive into a lake of fire burning with brimstone. And the remnant were slain with the sword of him that sat upon the horse, which sword proceeded out of his mouth, and all the fowls were filled with their flesh. So they're just going to lose, man. Yahushua is going to destroy them. Okay? And that's it, man. So the elect of the nation of Israel, we shall see this fight as well, because, and Lord willing, I speak as a member of the hopeful elect. In Revelation chapter 15 verse 2 it says, And I saw as it were a sea of glass mingled with fire, and them that had gotten the victory over the beast, and over his image, and over his mark, and over the number of his name, stand on the sea of glass, having the harps of Yahweh Shemishai. So the elect are going to see the destruction of a miracle. They're going to see when Esau, we're going to see when Esau, Edom, and the rest of the heathen battle against Yahushua, and it's going to all be in great and dramatic fashion. You know, our power loves drama. You know, think about it. The low level technology that Esau and the heathen are going to be using to battle against the spiritual force of Yahushua and the angels. Come on, that's really dramatic, man, and that's a day that, Lord willing, I will be able to see. So with that, I'd like to say all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Shemishai, Bashim Kodesh, Wa Abad Babal, Shalom.